Hello everyone. So I don't have a video here, but rather a photo which was shared by a Ukrainian soldier on Twitter. This shows a combined Russian and North Korean force that had to retreat from Nikol'skii in Kursk because of high losses. Unfortunately, no video is available yet, but this photo here was shared, which you can see shows that this was a fairly sizable force here. Visible in the photo are around 9 troops in this image, but 3 armoured vehicles as well. Can't tell if the armour is destroyed, abandoned or not. The bottom right one, which looks to be a tank, looks like potentially the crew are leaving it, so it definitely could be the case that it has been damaged by drones and abandoned, if not outright destroyed. We have more confirmation of this retreat from a Russian Telegram page. This post here says, "Our allies were one step away from liberating the Nikol'skii farmstead in the Malaya Lochnia area. As of yesterday, they controlled 80% of the settlement under intense fire pressure. They waited for reinforcements from the 155th Brigade for several days, but they never came." This bit I don't think translated well. It says North Korean attack aircraft began to slowly withdraw in organised groups leave Nikol'skii. So I assume he means attack squadrons or attack forces here. It goes on further to say, perhaps there is some special attitude towards foreign fighters, but I don't want to blame them for surrendering Nikol'skii. What were they supposed to do when they did their job and the subcontractors froze? This is not just something of a misunderstanding, this is an element of betrayal. It's unlikely this will affect our future interactions, but still turned out ugly in front of our allies. One simple question: why? So to summarise, this Russian Telegram page confirms that this is North Koreans here, likely the infantry of North Koreans, possibly with the Russians in the armoured vehicles as support, who were attacking Nikol'skii. They needed reinforcements from the 155th Brigade, who had been getting absolutely smashed by Ukraine in recent months, but reinforcements never came. Now, the writer also hints at a betrayal, that the North Koreans were just ignored. But the reason could easily be that the 155th just didn't have the manpower and the resources necessary to reinforce the settlement. 155th have been hit hard by Ukraine lately. They stretched all along the entire front, and with Ukraine hitting them hard and the supply routes hard and that sort of thing, it's not completely out of the question that they're just unable to support the North Koreans here because of high losses, and they have no real reinforcements to send. Well, of course, it could just be a betrayal. The Russians could have just thought, oh, it's only North Koreans, let's just, ignore them and leave them to it. Because North Koreans are here pretty much as cannon fodder by Russia. It's not like they actually care about the well-being of the North Koreans. Now, the settlement is shown here, and this was held by Ukraine according to the Telegram page, and Russia were trying to capture it. You can see it's a very small village, pretty much just a cluster of houses centered along a road. The Russian Telegram page reports that 80% of this small village was held by Russia, and he also reports that the fighting took place over a number of days at least. So despite this being small, it was very heavily defended, and it seems like a fairly large battle was ongoing here over the control of it. So where were the vehicles and the troops that we actually saw in the photo? So they were clustered around the area of the red dot here. So this is on the outskirts of the settlement. Now, remember the photo is showing the retreat, or part of it. We saw men in the photo and also a number of vehicles. Nikol'skii is here on deep states, shown as contested and right on the front lines. It actually looks quite a tricky area to defend, as there's a river on the eastern side which would make resupply quite difficult, and there's only a couple of supply roads into the settlement. For Ukraine, there's only really a supply road coming from the south which has to go over a bridge, which presumably Russia has destroyed, so I guess there's a pontoon crossing set up there, and also a supply road from the north which goes through contested territory. But it does look quite an important little village here. It would gain Russia a foothold over that north to south supply road and also that road heading south to allow them to push further into Ukrainian controlled territory. So I can certainly see why Ukraine wants to keep control of it. This is here zoomed out, so it's the western part of the Kursk operation. Now, I also have a Brucey bonus for you here. There's a second video from Kursk. Again, this one's showing a Russian retreat. This time, though, is from near Makhnovka, on the eastern side of the Kursk special military operation. This small clip shows a number of troops running out of a forest, either retreating from Ukraine here, or they stumbled onto the local dogging spot and got asked to join in, and didn't fancy it. They have a wounded soldier with them as well, or maybe he had one too many sherbets. That alone is a bit rare to see. Russia evacuating the wounded, usually they're just left where they lie, sometimes with their comrades stealing the wristwatch and rifling through the pockets for nude photos of his wife. They then come under artillery fire, and a bit later the clip does show some of them getting hit, but I've had to cut that one off. So let's see where this one took place. Nikol'skii on Twitter did the geolocation for this one, an excellent job as always. So, these are in the area of the red dot here. You can see that this is west of Cherkasskaya Konopelka, a name which may be familiar to you, as this is a settlement which Ukraine managed to capture maybe a week or so ago, as part of a counterattack that they launched in this region. Quite a successful counterattack as well, which captured 2 settlements very quickly, and possibly a third. I'll have a look at that more later. First, let's check deep states. So this was in the area of the red box here, in the forest. Now, unfortunately, no context was given by the uploader as to this clip and what it is actually about. So, we don't actually know if this was a Ukrainian push into this forest which forced the Russians to abandon their positions and retreat. If that's the case and can be confirmed, potentially we may see this turn out to be blue now on Deep States' map. It would make sense for Ukraine to capture this woodland to prevent Russia from using it to target that supply road you can see which leads into Cherkasskaya Konopelka. Russia holding this forest here gives them a perfect chance to do that, so Ukraine would want to capture it for that reason. Another possibility is Ukraine had already moved into this forest and was holding it, and these Russians counterattacked to try and push them out again. But judging by the video, didn't manage to do so. But we can't confirm that for certain, as this is just a isolated clip. We also can't rule out that this was an attempted Russian counterattack from Russian-controlled territory, and these were hit whilst on their way there. Maybe an attempt to push east to Cherkasskaya Konopelka itself, although I find that unlikely. I think a push by Russia to capture that town again would need armoured vehicle support, not just a bunch of troops in the trees. Could also be a push north to try and cut off that settlement or dig into Ukrainian-controlled territory in that area a little bit and put pressure on Ukraine. But either way, whatever they were doing here, it seems to have failed, no matter what the reason for being in this forest, as we saw them retreating. This was here zoomed out, so you can see that this was on the eastern part of Ukraine's Kursk special military operation that they launched in around October time last year. So it's been pretty successful. Now, as for Ukraine's counterattack overall here, it does seem to have ground to a halt for a bit. I haven't seen any mention for a while of any movement by Ukraine since they captured Kolmakov, Cherkasskaya Konopelka, and the rumoured but unconfirmed yet capture of Fundraising, which were captured within the first day of launch of this new counterattack here. The target of the counter seems to be Ulanok overall, but so far it seems that Russia has managed to halt the push here on the outskirts of Ulanok, and things have entered a bit of a stalemate. Well, of course, if this was a Ukrainian push into this forest here, then Ukraine is certainly trying to consolidate their positions that they have and capture more territory, and also give themselves a better chance of holding the areas that they have already captured. You can see the forest has a river on the southern side as well, so that makes a natural barrier which could potentially aid Ukraine in holding that forest if they manage to clear the Russians out of it. So it is a good position to have, I think. Now, that's it for this video. Hope you found this one interesting, but before we finish, here's some photos sent to me from Ivan of Cars for Ukraine. These show the vehicles from a recent fundraiser have been purchased. This was the Christmas one done in collaboration with a number of other Twitter accounts and YouTubers to buy a bunch of cars for Ukraine. Ivan is driving this one to Kherson himself for the handover, as that's his hometown. Big thanks to everybody who helped out. And now I'm also going to play a video from the Ukraine Volunteer Centre about the fundraiser with them, which is still ongoing. Thanks so much for watching this video, and take care everybody.
Attention, urgent fundraising. We are an international volunteer foundation created by soldiers. We know that in war every second decides whether to live or die. Today, we are raising funds for 2 minibuses for Ukrainian paramedics. Without this vehicle, paramedics will not be able to save the wounded. Under constant shelling on the front line, paramedics are pulling fighters from death. But without transportation, they can't make it. Every second is a life. Now we can help them work faster, save more, bring defenders home alive. We need your support. Fundraising target is $22,000. Donate, tell your friends, share this video. Every contribution you make is someone's saved life. Together to victory.